Welcome back to Voltage Bros. I'm Kenny.
And I'm Jerem. And today we'll be talking about Superman.
Let's get into it.
So what Superman are we talking about today?
We are talking about Superman 1978, YouTube.
The one with Christopher Reeve, if you're confused.
The original Superman.
Fact, not the original.
Okay.
The first one was 1948. I watched some clips of the 1948 one. Looks pretty fun. Maybe we should do that one sometime.
Let us know in the comments if we should watch 1948 Superman. And I don't know if I could do 1948 because 1978 was a little bit of a struggle.
Really?
Struggle in the way that we enjoy movies now.
Explain.
Okay. I kind of said this during the movie while we were talking about it. Or no, our dad was watching it with us. He said it. The movie is more focused just around the fact of Superman than creating a great movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's very 1978 style.
This is all about Superman himself. What is he like? What does he stand for?
Right. There's not really an amazing story except that he's Superman.
I think it's a pretty great story.
Oh, I thought it was terrible.
Well, it's pretty standard. I would say when I was watching the movie, I was thinking it was very similar to movies today
Okay.
in the fact that I could enjoy it. It followed a structure. It had comedy that
Right.
I still laughed at.
Right.
And
That is
I didn't
true.
feel like it was super old. You know?
Okay.
I mean, 30 years isn't.
I
what is it
disagree,
now?
but-
40 now? 50? No. 80.
Wait, it's more than 30
20,
years.
40.
20, 40, 44, 46 years.
That's crazy.
Wow, 46 years since 1978.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was too far off for me to just enjoy thoroughly.
Okay. Well, maybe you turned into Superman and traveled back in time.
Yeah.
But I personally, it felt very 1978 because it just moved so quickly. And the humor, you talked about the humor. We can laugh about it now, but we can also laugh more now because they were jokes made for 1978.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Right? Like the one that immediately comes to mind is the "Don't tell lies." Whoosh.
This man swooped out of the sky and gave him to me.
Haven't I told you to stop telling lies?
Yeah.
You know? And wax her child.
Yeah.
You're not doing that nowadays, right?
Well, the humor I thought was pretty great because it's a movie I thought was made for adults, you know?
Yeah.
And possibly the comedy in this movie now seems a little bit childish. You know?
Right.
It's like this is kids' movie humor, but it's just a little bit
past the kids' humor.
past, yeah. So it's enjoyable
Right.
in that way. The score was awesome. And
Yeah.
for some reason, even though it looked old, it felt grand. You know, it felt really big. Like
That's
all
true.
these big wide shots of the planet, and the score felt really big and massive and sounded like Harry Potter at sometimes because John Williams.
Oh, yeah.
It was really good and it was really effective. But yeah, I just wanted to say I really liked the score. It felt really big and grand, even though it looked old. It didn't
Very.
take me out of it at all, just because of the way that it was shot and the way that it sounded.
Yeah. I'd say it didn't really take me out of it, but at some points I was a little confused at what I was looking at, just on where we were and what it was. I didn't realize that it was a sun hitting the planet until like last second.
Yeah, I didn't realize that at all.
Yeah. But other than that, it was fine. Not knowing that didn't take away from the fact that you knew that the world was about to end.
And it was pretty fun when you see him going through space and growing up as a little boy.
Yeah.
And then he holds the car for his parents.
Right.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It is.
Oh, and it was really funny when they had that setup
Mm-hmm.
of Superman's mom telling Superman's dad, "Be careful with that heart of yours."
Right.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, set up for his heart attack
That's how he's dying.
later on.
Yeah.
But and also, still, 18 years later.
Yeah, it took a
Be
long
careful with
time.
that heart of yours.
Right.
But and then it took 18 years for that setup to
He did
pay
pretty.
off.
He did pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, lasted another 18 years there. So.
Speaking about Superman's character, he gets thrown into a farmland with his parents who teach him
Right.
good morals.
Right.
You know, and that's where he gets his character from.
Yeah.
And then he goes from that to the city And then my mind realized that was on purpose.
Yeah.
At first, I thought this is a movie made in 1978, so of course everyone's going to be good and have great morals. But actually, not really.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
He gets thrown into the city, and you can tell that the city is rugged and like not really his style.
Yes.
And he has to stand out and be a good person amongst that.
Well, I don't know, because I felt like that was a facade. Clark Kent, it was real, but only to a point. I guess he didn't fit in, but he wasn't trying to, so it didn't feel awkward. Well, he felt awkward. He looked awkward, but you learned that it was completely on purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
And part of me felt like it was a little bit on purpose, but part of me felt like he was still scared to let Lois Lane know that he was actually Superman.
That's true.
because
He almost did at one point.
he really is Clark Kent as
Right.
well.
Right.
And so
That's true.
will Lois Lane see me
Differently?
like, does she love me just only for my powers?
Yeah.
Or does she love me for Clark Kent too? Because that's who I am as well.
Yeah. Well, the answer to does she love you for your powers is yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because he did nothing else except fly with her, and she was in love.
Well, I would be too. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, especially if you can just hold fingertips and fly normal. Great.
well, she did a really good job in her acting role. I really
Yeah.
loved all of her emotions. Everything she did was very strong and straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially when she's flying and then she uncovers her eyes and she's like, and then like covers them again. Like, everything she
Yeah.
does was very strong and forward and on purpose. She did a really good job.
That's true. Honestly, none of the characters I felt like slacked.
Yeah.
They weren't given a great script or anything, but you did feel it in every character. Even I noticed it a lot in the news reporter, the guy in charge of the Daily Planet. Yeah, the guy in charge of the Daily Planet, great as well. He kind of felt like a what's the Spider-Man news guy?
J. Jonah Jameson.
Right, felt exactly like that.
Yeah, and I was very surprised how similar he was to J. Jonah
Right.
Jameson.
Yeah.
Like, what came first?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, possibly J. Jonah Jameson could have come from the comics first, and they probably built off of each other.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure, but wow, that was very similar. So, did you know that this movie was actually meant to be longer?
It was meant to be longer?
Yes. So originally, they were going to make this a 3-hour movie.
Wow.
But the directors changed halfway through, and then they made a first movie and a second movie.
Oh.
Added some things.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So I thought, this is pretty cool because it's setting up the second movie really well.
Yeah.
Like, they were very confident. And then something
Gonna put it in the first one.
Something happened, and
Yeah.
then they were gonna make one movie, a long movie, and then they made 2 movies. That could possibly be why it wraps up so strangely.
Yeah. I was very confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
If for those that are watching it and don't remember the ending, I know 46 years ago or whatever, long time. Lois Lane dies. And Superman flies really fast around the world and therefore goes back in time, and it doesn't show you how, but Lois Lane lives.
yeah. And so you also hear his dad in the background saying, "Don't do it," basically.
Right.
Saying, "Don't tamper with human history, even though you
Right.
can."
Right.
And then he just does it anyway and smiles at the camera. So I'm hoping that there will be some consequences for that
In the second one?
in the
Yeah,
second
there better be.
in the second movie.
Otherwise, what was the point?
Yeah. So I think it's a little bit unsatisfying because of that.
Yeah.
And if they just left a little bit, like, if they had like an end credit scene or something, or right before the credits, it's like, wait a second, you shouldn't have done that. Cliffhanger,
Yeah.
but instead it's just, everything's okay. But maybe in the second one, there are some consequences for that, which
I hope so.
Maybe that's just the point that they awkwardly chose to end.
It was confusing, but I'm hoping that it is a lead-in into the second one.
I think we'll have to watch the second one. At least one of
Yeah.
us will have to. and
Yeah.
explain what happens. Because does Superman learn to overcome the death of his father, basically, because he's so strong,
Right.
he couldn't do anything to save his father, and then the same thing happened again with Lois Lane, but he was able to fix it really quickly, so he didn't really overcome the fact that he had no power over that.
Right.
Will he overcome that? Will his character grow and realize that he can't save everyone, even though he is Superman?
And he can go back in time, which I'm just realizing, does that mean he can go back in time and save his dad?
Just don't think about it.
Nope.
Don't mention it ever
much
again
thinking.
in any other Superman movies.
Right.
They don't do it. Don't do
I
it.
didn't realize time travel was a thing in 1978 either. Like an escape.
Yeah. Yeah.
An escape from movies. The one last thing I just wanted to focus on, which is Clark as a character from beginning to end. Because, like we mentioned earlier, the movie just focuses on his character, right? And he's a good person. And I was really shocked at the beginning when he was talking to his dad about the high school dude. And he's like, something about him just makes me want to rip him to pieces. And I was like, what? Superman wants to murder somebody, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's just out of nowhere, right? And then his dad dies, and then he goes out on his own, finds his... I don't even know what he finds, but he finds a projection of his father.
That he planted in.
Right, planted in the ocean, north somewhere. Anyways, then he spent 12 years there, and it skipped over that about 2 minutes, and then he was good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he learned a lot from his father. They just sped through that, learning from his space father. But
Right.
also, he learned from his father on the Earth. And those beats are fast, but they still happen, you know? And that beat of him wanting to rip his buddy to shreds.
Yeah.
And then that
And then
happens.
his father teaches him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happens before his dad says, well, you need to learn to be humble,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's just
It-
those little pieces.
It works.
It's not a TV show. It's not
Right.
going to give you everything, all the journey of him becoming who he is. But just the fact that he landed in the right spot, you know, and his dad told him that he was there for a purpose,
Right.
explains to us why he is
Yeah.
the way he is. If it
Yeah.
was too fast for you, I get
It was just the 12-year jump was just too much for me.
Mhm.
I didn't like that. I just wanted a little bit more of a struggle in becoming Superman.
more of
He's-
an origin story.
Yeah. But I guess that probably wasn't what they were looking for in 1978, which is fine. I think they probably did exactly what they wanted. So looking with a 2024 lens, not that great. Looking with a 1978 lens, pretty good.
It jumps from him learning really quickly to him in the city, and
Right.
those two portions of the movie feel very different.
Yes.
And it's like you jumped into a different world, which is actually pretty cool. What did you think of Lex Luthor?
Lex Luthor had the greatest opening line of all time. He was talking about his servant dude. I can't believe that Brain has enough power to move his legs.
Yeah,
Right.
what a great opening line, man.
Right? It makes you laugh, and it's so funny because it's so spot on. It's just like, this guy sucks. Part of his introduction too was just killing someone. Just pushed him out onto the train, and you witnessed the whole thing minus the gory and any of that. I just thought that was also a crazy introduction. I did not expect him to die, but I guess it makes
Perfect
sense.
villain setup,
Yep.
cliche as well.
First,
but-
you got to hit him hard with the one-liner insults, and then you have to kill someone.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to know. Now let's move on.
And I love the wig that he wears. And I love that
Yeah.
his servant finds the wig, and then it's as if it's telling all the people who read the comics and they're watching it thinking, wait, isn't Lex Luthor supposed to be bald? I thought he was supposed to be bald. And then you see the wig, and then he pulls it off at the end. It's like,
Right.
Lex Luthor is bald.
That's the grand reveal of the movie.
Yeah, because you already know that he's Lex Luthor.
Right.
So then, what does taking off the wig
Right.
do? It's just funny. I think it's really cool just to watch an old movie like Superman and see all the cliches that were done first, you know? Because
Yeah, that's true.
when you're writing a story now about a superhero, You can just write, well, he lives on a planet and his planet exploded, so then he came to this Earth. And it's like, well, that's kind of cliche. But someone came up with that first.
Right.
And it's a pretty awesome idea.
Yeah.
Like someone from a different planet losing everything, but because of the difference of the way that he was made over there on that planet, he's a god to us.
Right.
That's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
And I guess we take it for granted because it's just thrown,
'cause now we
it's
just
thrown
have
into
it.
everything now.
Right.
But it is a pretty cool story that someone came up with first.
Yeah. Well, we've watched Superman, the original. Watch out for my Batman Begins coming out as well after this video.
And I just released a video on Better Call Saul, so go watch that and subscribe and click that notification bell. If you liked this video, like it. And as
And as always, let's bolt.